I used to have this idea that in order to be Catholic, you had to look Catholic. Like you had to fit the aesthetic of being Catholic. So for girls, that was like long dresses and veils and clean girl makeup and baking and high heels, and you guys get the gist. And then for the guys, it was suits and cigars and whiskey and like that kind of thing. Now, look, I can totally understand liking those things. Okay, I like many of those things, but sometimes it can become performative, or we become more obsessed with our outward Catholic appearance than our inward relationship with Christ. Like we want to look Catholic to either avoid backlash from peers, or maybe we want to appear more Catholic because we want people to know we're actually Catholic. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with looking, quote unquote, Catholic, if that is actually your aesthetic and what you like to wear, okay? That is completely different from trying to put on this facade of looking Catholic in order to fit in or to feel like a Catholic. You aren't a better Catholic if you wear pretty dresses. You aren't more of a Catholic if you smoke cigars and can quote the Summa Theologiae. You aren't less of a Catholic for not living like a priest or a nun or a sister if that is not your calling and your vocation. Before I pop off into more unpopular opinions in a couple seconds, I first want to let you guys know that Blessed Is She has an amazing Lenten devotional. I know Lent is this week, y'all. I am freaking out, but I got this devotional. I've been flipping through it, I've been looking at it, and I am very, very excited for Lent. So just go ahead and check out blessedisshe.net and check out their Lenten devotional, see if it's something that maybe you would like to do, and we can do it together. I think that would be really fun. You guys can use my promo Amber10 at checkout, and yeah, let's just have a fruitful Lent together. A lot of people online will be super rigid and gatekeepy about what you have to do in order to be a quote unquote real Catholic. But in reality, most of the time, the information that they give makes it feel like being a Catholic is nearly impossible. Pray this prayer, go to this mass, spend this much time in adoration, fit 2 hours of prayer into your routine. And it's like they say it with such authority and they say it so matter-of-factly that you think in your head, okay, if I don't do these things, I'm not a real Catholic. And that is so wrong, and that rigidness does so much damage to so many Catholics who are either just trying to figure out what to do and they're just trying to get advice, and then it's almost like instantly they're put down, and it's like, if you don't do this, you're not real Catholic, and it's just really, really sad to see. It really just feels like so many people forget that humans are complicated. Like, we all have different lives, we have different vocations, and as a married woman, it would be really imprudent for me to live or act as though I was a nun, because nuns have their own vocation and I have mine, and I cannot spend hours and hours sitting in silent prayer because I have a husband to take care of and I have a home to run. So my prayer looks very different from a nun's prayer or a sister's prayer, and that is okay. Being single is not the lesser vocation. Being married is not the lesser vocation. That is just, get that out of your head, okay? Your vocation is special and unique to you, and you're going to have to figure out how your relationship with Christ fits into that vocation and how you are going to authentically live out your Catholic life your own way, not by copying somebody else online, not by trying to become somebody you're not through aesthetics and dresses or vests and cigars, but by authentically being yourself and then seeing how God is working through you authentically, so then you can also inspire others to live authentically. And when I first started this whole apostolate that I was doing, I 100% was my entire unhinged, unfiltered self, and I loved it. You guys can definitely see it in my earlier videos. Are they a little cringe? Yes, I was 19. Give me a break. But the thing is that I was still untainted by the Catholic social media world, so to speak. I didn't know anybody who was like super hardcore rad trad or anything like that, and I didn't know anyone who was on the complete other spectrum. I was just vibing. Okay, I was just doing my own little thing, vibing, doing my little thing. But as time went on and more creators got in the space, people started arguing with other people, and then other people started judging other people for how they were doing different things. And oftentimes I was ridiculed for my naivety or for just being a woman online, which is a whole other video I could get into because me and my girlfriends, we know what's up. But there was this time of just peace where we all got along online. It wasn't Catholic against Catholic constantly. And now it just feels like we're constantly trying to compete with each other, or we're constantly trying to copy each other. And I took inspiration from a ton of people. At the time, I think you guys can definitely see it in my earlier videos, I definitely took a lot of inspiration from Taylor Marshall. Obviously, I don't do that anymore. I think a lot of the times I really got attached to different personalities because how earnest they were about their beliefs and how they spoke with such authority. And so because of that, I was just okay, like I want to be like that too. And so I started adopting that kind of rigid mindset, I guess you could say. And I'm not calling anyone out specifically. It could be literally anyone, everyone, blah, blah, blah. I took inspiration from a ton of different people. However, I will say that the rigidness really did negatively impact my relationship with Christ and the church, and it also negatively impacted my followers' relationship with Christ and the church. But obviously I didn't know that right off the bat. I was learning, I was young. I really wish I would have given myself more time before jumping into the online sphere, but I was talking about my journey. I was trying to share about my experiences and what I'd gone through, and I didn't have community at the time, and so the online space was really my only community because then COVID happened. Anyways, I think it's important to take inspiration from the saints, but also please remember what area of life they are in compared to you, because many saints are priests, nuns, sisters, so just keep that in mind and just remember that from their perspective and who they're writing for is a lot of the time for other sisters, nuns, and priests, not necessarily for single women or men or married women or men. That doesn't mean we can't take important information from them or inspiration and all that stuff, but I just hear so many people get discouraged when I don't know, they read St. Alphonsus Liguori, for example, or The Imitation of Christ, which you guys know is my all-time favorite book, absolutely favorite book, goes everywhere with me. I never go anywhere without it. And, you know, I have to remind these people that The Imitation of Christ was primarily written for other priests, not for people who are not in religious life. Basically, what I am trying to get at here is that sainthood actually looks very mundane and normal. Will it be difficult? Yeah, of course it will be, okay? Because it's your vocation and you're going to try and reach sainthood through that vocation. But stop trying to make it harder than it is with all of these self-imposed rules and aesthetics. Be normal. Be in the world but not of it. Watch movies that aren't explicitly Catholic. Read books that aren't explicitly Catholic. Go to Target and get some makeup. Make a prayer routine that works with your area of life right now, diva, okay? Maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's an hour, maybe it's Lectio Divina, maybe it's prayer journaling or reading the Bible. Everyone is different and people are complicated. We cannot keep telling people to check off these specific things and then that's what's going to make you a good Catholic. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is your relationship with Christ, receiving the sacraments, being normal, because sainthood is found in the mundane. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Love to know your guys' thoughts below. Please be respectful as always, and I'll talk to you guys in the next vlog. Bye!